They raised the price by 30 NT.
Dude, that's too much.
Couldn't believe it. 30 NT from the last time I was there, which admittedly was a few months ago, but 30
Well, a
NT
few
raise.
months. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not much.
Nope, not much at all.
But 30 NT for a damn Neil
surprised me.
Romien. I mean,
Yep.
that's a large percentage of a
It
Neil
is.
Romien.
Yeah, from 100 to 130. I'm like, well, I might not come back. You might have lost a customer. It's pretty
How it
damn.
works?
It's pretty damn good beef noodle soup, though.
That's you make your choices.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Hey, we're on.
Hey, are we on the internet?
We are on the internet.
Yay! Hey, welcome back. We're back. Welcome to Critters in Taiwan, a D&D podcast about Critical Role, where a bunch of nerdy ass voice actors sit around and play Dungeons and Dragons. I am Ben in Kaohsiung,
I'm Tim in Taichung.
and we are a couple of critters in Taiwan.
Yeah,
how you
finally
doing,
recovered
buddy?
from that crazy weekend, man.
Yeah,
Goddamn.
Yeah, been a while. I haven't seen you for a bit. Been a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I mean, it's
was a
been
good
all
week
right,
off.
but
First
first week back, right? For me.
Right. So we had a week off from Critical Role, and we're back into work again, a full week back at work, and the semester starts up and all that stuff. Hey, we're talking about episode number 32, campaign 3, episode number 32, a stage set.
A stage set.
A stage set? A stage set.
Or a stage set.
A stage set. I don't know. I've been trying to
verb.
figure this. When they put out the title this morning and I caught it, I was like, I don't understand. I don't get this one.
I mean, they let house cleaning. We're gonna spoil shit, so get the fuck out if you haven't.
Right.
There's a not. It wasn't so much of a cliffhanger that they left us on. It was just like another option.
Yeah.
Right. Because there were other things that they could do, but then right there at the end, they gave us that little cliffhanger.
Sure.
Of like everybody to the front, battle, whatever.
Is that was the whole thing about them hanging out at the Paragon's Call and doing all of that stuff? Is that setting the stage? Or was the stage the mammoth crawler that they were loading up like a stagecoach sort of a thing, and they're setting it up?
Cargo?
I was reading way too much into it, but
well, I mean, like as we discussed it in the last episode or the one before, it's been a while. I don't remember.
Been a while.
Like how Matthew's been kind of giving some information that maybe was a question mark before.
Lots of lore.
So
Yeah,
like if he's saying a stage set, and I mean there must be something for this next episode that he's got big plans for.
We're maybe in another arc. Have we begun sort of another arc here now? Episode 32.
That's
perhaps?
another hard one. Like, what was the first arc?
I don't know.
Was there an arc? I mean,
yeah, just R maybe.
It's just a bunch of information that's kind of shuffling into each other.
Yep. Well, we said this before. This one's a mess. Like they're throwing. There is no definitive sort of.
It's just moving.
Now we're doing Ford's arc. Now we're going into Knott's arc. Now we're going into Caleb's arc. Now we're going. They're very very meshed, intertwined.
Yeah, intertwined for sure.
I did notice one thing though. I wrote myself a little note.
Just one, huh? This is gonna be short.
I put a little sticky tab. Look at that. I put a little post-it on the thing.
Oh, look at you.
What I did notice, and this was sort of a thing that I realized about a third of the way through this episode, there is a definite giddiness when they come back after a break. The cast, and it got me thinking. They are pre-recorded, right? So these are not live,
right? Yeah, right.
But there is there is. So I think what we're figuring out here is that they record a bunch of episodes, maybe back to back, day by day, over a time, then take a bunch of time off, or maybe they do them every week. I don't know. They do let slip. Like even at the end of this episode, Matt was like, "Well, you got a week to figure it out." So but I don't know if that's for our benefit or for. It's hard to know who that's actually for. I have a sneaky suspicion they're recording these day after day after day. I think they do 1, 2, 3, and 3 days in a row, and then get it out of the way and then release them.
Good point. Because when they were live, like you just said, they always had a week because they did it live.
Yep.
So maybe he was just saying that for us. Maybe
a couple of days. I mean, Marisha did say at the end of this episode also, hey, we're going to have to hit up the message thread again and figure things out. And Matt's like, well, you got a week, so, do it, blah, blah, blah. It's hard to know. Maybe maybe they're doing it both ways. Maybe sometimes they do it week by week. Maybe other times they bang out 2 or 3 of them in a row.
That might make some sense.
Regardless.
Go ahead. Let me.
I do.
I'll respond when you're done there.
I do notice the thing that there is giddiness. I mean, there was a lot high
Goofy.
energy, high
It was
goofiness,
fantastic.
mad goofing,
They were mad goofing.
mad goofing. For the first like half the episode, and then as I've also noticed, when there is that much energy in the first half, the back nine is a much slower, low key, more somber affair.
It's been a little tough for me.
Yeah,
You know, because I'll watch the first half when I'm at the gym, and then I get
Yep.
home, have a couple drinks.
Yep.
After the break,
yeah,
I have a hard time staying engaged.
I know.
Because
Same,
I also
same,
have a
same,
few
same.
drinks in me, you know, so it's a little harder that way. But like if I'm talking with you, I don't get less engaged with you when I have
Yeah.
a few drinks. No, I intend to get more engaged.
I
But I'll
think
get
they-
into
I
my
think they-
thoughts. I'll stick to one thing, just kind of like reading a book. I'll stick to
Yeah.
this paragraph and think about it while I keep reading. You know,
I think there is a little bit of meta burnout where they're sitting there, they're super excited and they're all ready to go, and then it's sort of they ease into it. They're very excited, and then they walk away from the table at the break. They go and have a bathroom break. They go get something to bite to eat, and then they come back, and it's like, here we go. And so then it becomes a much more relaxed affair after the break. I think that's what's happening.
wait a minute. Thinking of shit. Now I got two things. Let me follow up with that first. When I'm watching the episodes, I retain so much more information when I start the third campaign and I just have that playlist, right? And it goes right into the next one, right into the next one. I'm
Okay.
like, because it's fresh in your mind. So
Okay.
if they're doing this, you're maybe perhaps guessing, where they do maybe the day after,
postulating.
maybe a couple of days later, it makes a lot of sense to me to do that. Get it done so they can do all this other work that they have, that they're becoming fucking multimillionaires now, probably. That makes a lot of sense.
Presumably.
But what about the intro bits? Is Sam doing these things day after day?
Maybe.
Because in the past he's
Yep.
doing a week, and
Maybe.
he had a whole week to come up with something, which he himself says like it's usually 5 minutes before we start.
Right.
So maybe he's just
Yeah, this one
pulling it off.
definitely wasn't. This was thought out.
Yeah,
I think
disgustingly thought out.
Oh, dude, it was so gross.
It's
It was
so
so
nasty.
Gross. It was so nasty.
They were so concerned, all the metal things and
Yeah.
the cigar and a banana. Imagine all those
I thought
flavors being in your
That was
mouth.
the weirdest thing. Laura freaking out about the metal bit. Don't put that in there. He's just jammed dry pasta and a cigar and pickle and a banana.
All
and
with
you're talking about
toothpaste.
all with toothpaste. If you don't know what we're talking about, Sam Riegel does disgusting shit on camera.
It's the most disgusting one for sure.
Way more than the whipped cream one.
Yeah, I don't think that's that bad. I've put whipped cream on
wine-
weird things before.
On wine?
I've never
That
put
was-
it on wine before, but
yeah,
I'd
that
give
was
it a
rough.
shot. I'm pretty sure. I mean, knowing Sam, he wouldn't put it on a good wine. He would put it on some $2 Chuck wine, which he said before. Either get $2 Chuck or skip that whole middle realm and get something kind of nice, like 14, $15.
Right.
So I don't think he would put I don't think he would do that. But we'll never know because we don't have any goddamn Tox Machina to fill us in on this goddamn information.
Sad.
I'm
Hey, but there
upset,
is a four-sided dive tomorrow.
There is. I'm excited about it. Finally.
Hey, you know what I got in my hand?
You got a die in your hand?
I got a dice.
Is that one of your big ones?
It's
Shall we drop those
big
on the table?
35. This is a 35 millimeter dice. It's the
Yeah.
one that I use now.
I like that big one. Ooh, not so good. I got a 6.
I got a 17.
What a waste.
I know what I'm bringing up first, and it's I kind of told you this a while back that I'm not going to talk about too many controversial things, but I'm gonna.
Okay.
There's been
Just
there's
don't
been
take your word
some-
for anything. All right, gotcha.
There's been a disturbance in the force.
Uh-oh.
The Spelljammer book that just got released has been I want to say, well, no, they've been given notice by players. There has been some controversy. It's a weird one. So Spelljammer goes all the way back to like D&D second edition in the 80s,
Wow.
where you could go into space, and there was the Spelljammer saga that was happening, and you had these airships, whatever, that could go through the astral sea and travel from plane to plane, and there was a whole race of beings that were in there, and apparently there was a race called
Space Clowns.
Hey, the Space Clowns is pretty funny. That's a legit thing. Look it up. I'm telling you, man, it's messed up. But there is a space traveling race called an astral sea traveling race called, I don't know how to pronounce it. The Hadozi. I don't really know how to pronounce it.
Hadozi.
Hadozee. Hadozi or Hadozi. I'm not totally sure.
Did you say two E's at the end there?
Two E's, yeah.
Hadoza. No, Hadoze. I have no idea. I don't have a guess.
They're basically called, they're colloquially called.
It's a tough one, man.
Yep. Yep. They're loosely called deck chimps. They are space monkeys. They're primates. They're not monkeys. Apologies to this. How does he?
You've been listening to too much Carl Pilkington, huh?
Mm-hmm. They're not monkeys. They're primates. They are apes that are sentient, and they are a race that are playable in the new Spelljammer. And I think they may have been playable in the early '80s Spelljammer campaigns as well. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't remember them.
I didn't see any.
Yeah, they may not be in there. There's a bunch that weren't in there. But anyway, there has been some controversy because a couple of different problems. First, problem number one is that in this version of Spelljammer, they decided to write a hey, by the way, bear with me. This is a long story, and I will get to the point eventually. In this version of Spelljammer, they decided to create a backstory for them. And the backstory is, in the original one, I guess they just had them as they're just there. And you run across monkeys that are primates that are like giant big chimpanzees, gorilla sort of folk that are running around trying to murder you and pirate stuff like that. In this one, they explained their backstory, and it is, I'll simplify it. There was a wizard who decided to do an experiment on some chimpanzees, and he gave them sentientness, or he made them, what did they call it? He made them sapient, which I thought was sapient, which was I thought was a clever little turn. Basically, he created a race of super apes but they were enslaved, and he tried to sell them to the highest bidder. That backfired because they turned on him and murdered him, and now they are a free race. Here's where the problem lies, is that is them being apes is too close to modern times with African-American people of color coming from slavery, et cetera, et cetera.
Issues in that area?
Issues right in that area. So people have cried foul, and they said that that this is triggering and that this is problematic. And the second problem is, I'm not really going to comment on that because I'll get to the second problem. The second problem is the imagery. In the Spelljammer book, the images are of the apes playing. There's a bard, a space bard. He's playing a big guitar. Bard. And there's another one where there's another one that's sort of dancing, and there's another one that is got swords and knives and juggling. And so I'm not exactly sure. They look like
big old jester act, a circus performance.
Except they look more like pirates than they do like clowns. So It's more like they're dressed up like pirates. People are linking that to like stuff from way back when of colored folk dancing, picking cotton,
actual issues in human
history. So so WotC went back on it all and scrubbed it and apologized and said we're sorry, we didn't mean to offend people, we apologize for it. And okay, at the end of the day, I agree. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
You found a problem. You published something. People found a problem with it. You solved it. Exactly. All good. Some nice little Rob Van Winkle there. I'm not super going to get into it. I think it's funny. No, I'm not saying the issue is funny. The issue is not funny. The issues are real. I think it's funny that people do have serious problems with fantasy. But that's neither here nor there. I understand that there are things that trigger people, and that's real. That's real.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to super comment on that. I do think that the fantasy issue and the fact that this is a game of imagination means we can do whatever we want with it. Awesome.
Yep.
My point is that this, here's the point. This slavery stuff, this is the big issue that this is triggering and all of that. I just saw immediate parallels with FCG, that he views themselves as a slave. He offers himself multiple times when they finally meet Dancer. I belong to you. I'm an automaton. I belong to you. You own me.
His
you
designation.
Can take me back.
Yeah.
His designation. All of these things. And I started thinking, I'm like, if automatons become a playable race in D&D, are people also going to have a problem with the slavery issue of them, like they do with the Hadozi? Is it
Hados?
Are people going to have problems with that slavery issue because they are creations? They were created, and I mean, Imahara Joe even says at the end, near the end of the first half, I was created. We all were created.
Yeah.
It's like so where
and you can move on from that life, yeah,
and move on, right? So I'm curious. WotC was so keen to scrub the slavery issue and the all of that with the Hadozi. Are they going to do the same? Are people going to have problems with the slavery?
Well, maybe after this episode
automatons?
now. Well done.
Yeah. No, I'm not the only one talking about this. It's the Hadozi thing has been completely, almost completely scrubbed from Reddit and other social medias that have, because they're just like, people are like, it's too touchy. We don't want to get into this. It's too.
This is clearly the most famous show about Critical Role right now.
Clearly,
we're gonna make some ripples here.
I'm just curious because I see every time Sam talks about FCG being upset about, he's like, I have no soul. I'm property. I belong to you. I'm like, okay, but this is the same issue. This is the same problem, and yet because it's a machine, we're just okay with it. So what happens when we do find out that the automatons have souls, when they actually are, in this fantasy setting? Because clearly, unless maybe they're not, unless maybe that is a thing. Like, what's going to happen here? I don't know. I'm curious.
Where do you draw that line?
Right there it is, right there. Where do you start drawing lines? Or do you draw lines? And if we're drawing lines, who gets to decide where the line is?
I mean, at this point, it's starting to sound like the same little conversation we have about AI becoming a little bit too self-aware.
Sure.
I mean, Aeorians, that's something very unexplained in this world that they're in, because like nobody from the Calamity exists there. I mean, you got Halas, right? But didn't they destroy that gem that allowed him to communicate with people?
They did.
So he's from the Calamity days, right?
No, they didn't destroy the gem. They tucked the gem in a pocket dimension.
Right.
Yusa did.
So they kind of
and they destroyed they destroyed his body.
They destroyed his body. Fucking hell. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as we know as viewers, that's kind of the closest thing they've had to any kind of
maybe
interaction with somebody from the Calamity or pre-Calamity rather.
Pre-Calamity, yeah. Yep.
Huh.
They could still go back and that soul in the soul jar
still
exists. It still exists. It could be referenced at some point.
But they don't know where it is. Isn't that part of the spell?
Well, Yusa has it in a little pocket dimension somewhere.
Right, and he's been untrustworthy in the past.
Yeah. Now that the Mighty Nine saved his life from the Somnovum, he may be a little bit more amendable to. Who knows? It's an interesting take on that.
Yeah. I think they did instill some morals into him after saw him as a. God damn, I might be getting my characters wrong. After they found him as a war criminal? Was that him?
No.
That was Essek.
They never found Essek as a war criminal.
They were like, you want to do all this and put the war forth because of this? Was that Essek?
Yeah.
Was
that was Essek.
That was Essek. Okay.
It was also Ikathon. It was the two of them.
Ikathon, right. I had something about him.
Yeah, Martinet. It might have been Ludinus. Yeah.
That's interesting, man. I mean, because you can't just
I'm
like
I'm really treading on thin ice with my own opinions of this, because I know that I'm not trying to make light of the real world issues that people have,
of
and the
course.
real world, the real triggering things. But if I can draw a quick parallel, when I'm running my Curse of Strahd campaign, and at my session 0, I ran through the list of all of the hot button topics that will come up with the players, and we as a group decided what is okay to talk about and what is not okay. And I immediately redacted all of the ones, not redacted, that's the wrong thing. I immediately flagged all of the ones that make people uncomfortable, and they no longer exist in my setting. And I feel like this is not to minimize people's real world struggles, but when Travis has said this multiple times, I don't want to think about the real world when I sit down on Thursday night. I want to let that stuff go away. I want to sit down with a group of my friends and laugh and roll dice and talk shit and just have fun. And I feel like that when people get too serious about bringing real world issues into a fantasy imagination setting, we're just creating problems instead of actually, coming together to not to solve problems, but coming together to have fun and
Fun.
let
Maybe
those real
forget
world
about
things.
them. We're not trying to solve
Right.
anything by enjoying these games at all.
No. No.
Like I'm not adding to the world's violence by playing Grand Theft
Yeah.
Auto.
Yeah.
The same kind of idea. It's like it's a fantasy game, but if it draws
Sure.
that close of a parallel and it causes enough people that have an issue with it, then I guess at that point they'll have to be like, okay, sorry about that.
Yeah. And I mean, if your table has problems with this particular race, then maybe don't use it at the table.
Yeah, don't use it at your table.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't maybe, I mean, listen, my brain goes to really weird places sometimes. I'm sure there are tables out there who play sick and disgusting shit that nobody, myself included, wants to be part of.
Right.
I'm sure there are groups out there. There's a lot of weird
Gotta
people in
be.
this world.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are sick dudes out there, guys and gals out there, people that are playing games that we want no part of. And that's awesome. Whatever floats your boat, man. Go and play that. Go play the thing that makes you happy or does your thing for you, whatever it is. But if you don't want to do it, don't be part of it.
Is that Rule 35? If it exists, there is D&D of it.
Hey, nice. It is now.
If it didn't exist before, it does now. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, that's my opening salvo.
Very interesting to see how that goes forward. Especially with that new edition coming out and it being kind of maybe redacted is not the right word, but because
they've scrubbed it. They've just erased it. They're like,
okay. So does the canon still exist? They just don't really have it in the edition now.
I don't know. It's a good question. Huh. I don't really know. I didn't really pursue it that much. I just sort of looked, and they've apologized and they've removed it from the whatever removing it means. Have the books gone to print already? I don't know. So is it already in there? I don't really know. Huh. I'm guessing that now that WotC owns D&D Beyond, it will no longer be part of the digital tool set. Right. I'm guessing that's what that means. All will be part of it. Print, I don't really know. I don't actually have any print books.
Well, now I'm really interested to see, because I hadn't heard of this. I didn't know anything about the Hadozes or whatever. Mm-hmm. But now I'm a little... Well, I'm always interested in the next episode that's coming out, but to see how far they take FCG's situation, right. If they just kind of leave it at what they were, like
just gonna say,
there was something about assassins that had to be activated, and we'll just maybe leave it there for now and do this new thing. Mm-hmm, maybe that's why Matthew was like, okay, let's let that settle down. Here's something else, guys.
Yeah, maybe.
Perhaps.
I wonder if, so this goes back to the original thing we were talking about. Are they even aware of that discussion right now? Because were these episodes they were taped early or late? I wonder. Because this stuff just happened this past weekend. This stuff with the Hadozi just happened in the past few days.
How weird would that be? Like, because these things are pre-recorded, these Critical Role episodes, that they would be like, sorry, we couldn't play the one that we had planned because of redactions and whatnot.
The Wendy's episode. Remember?
Right, that was taken off.
It was taken off of Critical Role's channel completely.
I still think I haven't seen the second half.
Yeah. Somebody put it up there and they managed to get it up without. It's still up there. It's still
No, I
there.
think I saw it. I think I found it.
But
I think I did.
That was because a couple of people had problems. Squeaky wheels, man. A couple of people had problems with Wendy's labor practices, and they didn't want that associated with their precious
tomato farmers
role.
or something.
Tomato
something
farmers, yeah. I'm like, you just.
It's just a fun game. Come on, man. If you don't like Wendy's, don't go there.
It's like you don't own Critical Role, and that's the problem I have with a lot of this stuff is that you're ruining it for other people with your personal opinions, and I mean it gets tough there, right? Like, okay, Wendy's may do bad practices. You're right. Just don't go eat at Wendy's, but we can still laugh at if anything, after I watched that episode, I don't want to eat fast food at all. None of them.
Right.
So
if I don't like the political views of a particular musician, I'm not going to go to that show or buy their albums. But they might still have a show with 300,000 people.
Right.
Fine.
Right.
Go for it.
Are you going to go?
Do it.
This gets into Karen territory where you walk into a department store and they're playing that. They're playing that song that you don't agree with on their music.
I'm out of there.
And then no, not I'm out of there. I'm going to raise hell. I'm going to protest I'm going to stand out in front with a placard and sandwich board and throw paint at people as they walk through. I don't know. That's what people get upset about. Ridiculous things, man.
Oh, the life is changing, man. Come on. There's so many places where you can say, like, where do you draw the line? Is that because we're just so old that we're not Karens, or is it?
It's not so. I don't have a problem with drawing lines. I have a problem with who gets to draw the line and who draws the line and then gets to say who can cross it or not.
There you go. Yeah.
Because this
I'm going to draw the line here. You have to follow my rules.
Right.
Fuck off, man.
Where did you become my moral authority? Who are you to become my father, mother? Like who are you to give to be, it becomes a thing, becomes an issue.
So let me and with another line drawing thing that's a little bit more on campaign 3.
I knew that was going to be a long one, so apologies before and after.
Yeah, and if you're upset, just turn us off and turn us into the authorities.
Please at me. Please go.
Start the conversation. Yeah. All right, here's the ESN. At what point do we draw a line here? Would HP become an issue with FCG? With all that shit that happened in the first half? Opening up the chest cavity, I can understand. That's just like maybe regular maintenance shit.
Oh, can I just interrupt really quickly, really quickly?
Sure.
Remember a week ago, 2 weeks ago, when you said that there was no why is Sam so quiet? We get no FCG for this episode. We got basically a whole episode about him. So
yeah. First half was it was all FCG.
All FCG, yeah.
And then sorry, who was it that was working on him? Was it Milo?
Imahara.
There it is, Imahara Joe. And he was like, I don't want to do this because I don't know if I can do this. And I think that's Matthew communicating with me personally, saying like, if I do this, we're going to get into hit points. But he doesn't want to do that because he'd be like, you take this much damage.
Yep.
And then that would be too much information. That's how I felt when I was watching that first half.
I read a really good. That's a great one, because I read a really good description on Facebook on the D&D 5th edition Facebook group. I don't go on Facebook very much, but I love the 5th edition group. The moderators, if you're listening, I know you are. You're doing a really hell of a good job moderating that group. It's really well done. People ask very poignant questions, and they're brilliantly answered by the community. But I read a really good descriptor of hit points not actually meaning health. Hit points mean endurance, stamina, ability to withstand damage until you reach 0. And when you reach 0, that's when the wound happens. So the way to view it is that you're fighting, and you're glancing blows, and you're sort of you're not actually damaging the other thing, whatever it may be. You're wearing them down until you're able to, say, stab into the neck, which then renders them unconscious. A vital spot. And I like they're in the player's handbook. There are optional rules for that way of playing, and that actually show how to game that out. But I sort of feel like this is in that territory where removing the chest plate isn't actually hurting him or damaging him. It's just letting, like, the what would be a good parallel?
Well, I think every fight is a good parallel. It's like, here's what I want to do. I want to punch them in the jaw. Do you actually do it? Roll the dice. Nope. Yes. You glance off the shoulder.
Right.
Every fight.
Yes. Exactly. Until you finally land the blow to the temple, and that's when you've done enough damage, or you've worn them down enough to get to the 0 hit points, which then puts them unconscious.
Yeah.
And bleeding out.
Or how that works out. Like, all this time watching and be like, what do you want to do? It's like, I want to stab him in the eye. Be like, okay, roll for it. Be like, you don't quite hit the eye. Like, every time, you don't quite hit the eye, unless you get the, how do you want to do this? And it's like, how do you want to stab him in the eye?
You finally wore them down enough, and that's
where it actually worked.
The hit points is a measure of wearing them down, or their endurance, or the creature or the character or the whatever, the beings.
It's kind of funny how obvious
stamina.
That is, but
it
wasn't right there,
Yeah, well, because it's a game. It's not actually. We shouldn't be. And that's the counter argument to it, is that this is just a game. Let's not worry about these semantics.
I want to cut his leg off. Be like, well, you're not going to do that unless you kill him. Like,
Like, let's not worry about semantics here. Let's just play the game, and you can, and that's where the pendulum swing is, right? Like, some tables are all about just rolling for damage and fighting, and I do this and I do that. Other tables are more about role playing and very much less of the damage aspect and the fighting aspect of things. And that's where tables differ, and it's great.
Yeah. I like that. And also, something people might notice as if you watch Critical Role, this is the only game that I'm really familiar with, is Matthew will say something like, it hurts, but it doesn't do any damage.
Yes.
Like, he'll say that sometimes based on whatever the fuck it is. I don't have an example offhand. But
in situation. Sometimes when they fall out of a tree or fall off a wall, or
you're going to have a bruise, but you're fine.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Huh. I like that. That's gonna stick with me. We're back to rollies, bud.
Oh, cool.
We're already at 32 minutes, bro.
Well, mine was long. I got a 9.
I got right down the middle, 10 for me.
I got a 9. You're up.
Oh, hey, look at that. What's next after that then? I've got some clerical things here. I've also got some. Ben, can you help me, please? Because I'm like a little bit lost on some things, and I know that how many notes you take, you pay a lot more attention, you're more knowledgeable.
Keep talking. Keep talking.
I'm trying to choose which one.
No, just like, tell me more about how great I am.
All right. If you also think he's great, get in touch. Just write it down there in the comments.
It's gonna be, the comments are gonna be full. Well done.
All right. Here's what I'm gonna do. All right. I'm gonna back up quite a bit here. Armand Tresci.
Okay.
I feel like that person was introduced at like episode 8 or something.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And we've like between then and now, I guess that would be 16 episodes if the math works out, right?
Yeah. I think the first they met him was when they broke into when they encountered the Nightmare King. Yep, I believe that would be the first time they met him.
That sounds about right.
They were tailing him into that tower, and that's where Chetney discovered the Nightmare King. He broke into his something.
Well, they were
like
looking
that.
for Gurge. Right?
Yes.
Which is also where they came across, what's her name? Avantiga. No, what's her name? Odahan? Is it Odahan?
Yeah. No, not Odahan.
Not Odahan. The other one.
Atana Thule. Atana Vo.
Vo. It's Vo.
Vo.
The one that shot Oram.
I wrote it down. Artana Vo.
Artana Vo, right. Who just showed up in this episode also.
Yes.
She shot Oram with a crossbow, right?
Yes.
And like that way back in those days, and then like they actually came across her when they got to Bazozan. Everything campaign 2 is coming up. Whatever city they're in right now.
Bassaris.
Thank you. And and then Ashton was like, "Oh fuck, it's her," right? I don't remember why they were looking for Armand Tresci. I don't know if it's been so many episodes and so many different things have fucking happened. I don't remember if this is about the shade creepers from Zephra, if this is some kind of something that somebody needs to get back from them, or if it might clarify something. I feel like they don't even know what the hell they're looking for.
It's about the Shade Mother.
Shade Mother. Okay. Because they're still trying to find information about the Shade Mother relative to Zephra.
He fled. Armand Tresci fled.
So this is like an Oban situation in campaign 2, where they're trying to find out who's responsible for these things, these channels.
You're 100% right. At this point, Armand Tresci is kind of a minor player, and Matt's sort of letting them know that, and they're kind of realizing it. So that's why they're kind of They're like, do we even get him? Like, why? We have so many bigger fish to fry now. And so it's almost at this point now, it's a side quest. It was the main quest, but so much has happened since then. So, who's their sponsor? The half orc.
There's so many names, man.
What's his name? The guy with the cane, the old fighter.
Oh, come on, man. Esteros.
Eric Esteros.
There we go.
He charged them.
Esteros, right?
Oh, it's torrential downpour outside. He charged them with going to get him back because he's wanted for questioning by the authorities in Dressar for his involvement in with the Shade Mother inside the down in the bottom there, down at where those mines were.
Right. So he's somewhat responsible for that bullshit happening.
Yes. No, I don't think somewhat. I think he's 100% responsible.
So they
he was also responsible for letting the Nightmare King into Dressar and doing his experiments on Gurge and others, the children, perhaps,
which is kind of like a war crime, if I would say.
Yes,
because all the blood touched. You bite somebody, they're going to come after you, right?
Yeah.
So if he's just like fucking willy-nilly about this, then they're probably going to go after this motherfucker, right?
Mm-hmm. So that's why they're trying to get him. But again, it's not.
I think I knew that. It just seemed to get lost, and when they see them in this thing, and he's just sitting back reading a book, but it's locked. I'm like, okay, that's like Ashton said. If I didn't want to be found, that's exactly what I would do. Lock me up in a prison. Just let me have my book.
Yeah. And let me out for breaks every once in a while whenever I need to. It's like, exactly.
And in the first campaign, there was second campaign, the guy with the circus. He's like, just let me stay here, man.
Oh, what's his name? The half elf. I know who you're talking about.
Damn it.
Yeah, Caduceus pulls that high insight check and then is like, no,
he wants to be in prison right now. Yeah. And then he without anybody else, I think did he get a whisper and then made a decision?
He got a really long whisper and made the decision. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, you shouldn't be here. This doesn't work. Yeah. So that's kind of what I feel about Armand right now.
Leaking out into that one too, though, because that would have been what Molly would have wanted as well, or would have been involved in it anyway.
And now there's a big ass fucking distraction going on. You know, like right at the end there. Again, sorry everybody, spoilers. So get the fuck out of here. They're like arm up to the front. They just kind of found the guy, and now they're putting him away from him.
Yep.
You know, like unless they don't go to the front.
What is Matt doing? Matt's again throwing all kinds of stuff at them.
Is he diverting? Is he
maybe?
I don't know.
Or is this Artana Vo coming in to get Tresci out? Not just Artana Vo, but a bunch of others. Who knows,
many more questions than answers at this point.
So many questions, and it's great.
It is great. It's very, very entertaining, especially when they get
tuned in on Friday for sure. Yeah,
that's mine. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't have much to say about that per se. I'll talk about the Paragon's Call for a quick minute.
I would like you to. I would like that. I need to learn some more.
As they were sort of getting in there and getting like walking around and being introduced, and they were like, yeah, there's what did the Minotaur say? He was like, there's 40 inside and 20 outside the city, or in the city, 50 outside the city, and there's various outposts and embassies or whatever he was talking about. And there's like 200 or 300 of them here, and showing them the armory and the mess hall and their barracks and the you can't go to the basement and all that stuff. And then they got into their room and they're like, okay, so when are we leaving? I just got mad Campaign 2 flashbacks from when they went to Dark Toe, the Pirate Isle, and they're like we're pirates, and then they get kicked off of Pirate Island 12 hours later.
They just got in and they got their uniforms. They're feeling all cool.
Yep.
And now they're just going to be like, "Oh, here's a battle."
Yeah. I feel like they're this group of players. It doesn't matter who they play; they're always going to be the shits. Always. Like that. You remember the stories of the shits, right? That was the name. That was Vox Machina before it was Vox Machina. They were the shits.
It was an acronym. They had
it was
letter or words for each one.
Superheroes in trouble. Something I forget.
Sometimes or whatever.
Sometimes, yeah. Something like that. The shits. Yeah. But they were literally, like, as Liam has said, I think on multiple occasions, because I think it was him that came up with that name. He said, he was like, they're a bunch of fucking assholes. Like they're just people that do really, really shitty things to all kinds of people. And I feel like it doesn't matter who they are, they're always going to do that.
Makes sense. Anyway, I mean, especially when Travis is at the table. I mean, he's just a video gamer at heart,
Yep. He always wants to push the button.
Let's check all the nooks and crannies. He'll sneak into that door. I'm going to pick that lock. Fuck. A little bit less and less over time, but he's still Travis Willingham's Yeehaw Game Ranch,
The funniest thing I've seen him do in recent memory was when somebody asks, so who can, I think FCG asked, so who can change their appearance? And he's like, well, I can. And he's like, really? He's like, yeah.
Oh. And I didn't see it.
Oh God, dude, it's so funny. It's so funny. And Sam just like, Sam rotates in his chair to look the other way, and Matt starts laughing, and then Travis is like, watch, want to see another one? And he just makes another stupid face, and Matt starts crying. He's laughing so hard. He's just like, oh, he face palms hard, and he's almost in tears. He's laughing so hard. Go back and watch that point. It's so good.
There were so many. There were a few parts in this episode, and as everybody knows, I watch this shit in my pocket if I'm not on the treadmill, right? So if I'm walking somewhere, if I'm taking a U-bike somewhere, it's in my pocket. So every now and then I'll hear people start laughing, and I'll be like, what the fuck was so funny? It's because it's a visual thing,
Yeah, right. There's a lot of visual stuff going on there.
And so I don't see the faces. I only hear
the jokes on this episode in the beginning, like I said about the giddiness, the jokes were amazing. That whole long big setup with the one-eyed monster slaying pussy I think I messaged you Friday night. I was in tears. I had to stop. I was holding my sides. I did not see it coming. I saw it when they started.
You didn't?
No. When they started laughing about it, I was like, "Oh, this is funny," and I started laughing, and then it went, and then it hit that high note, and I didn't see it coming. I was killing myself laughing. Oh my God, it was so funny. Ugh. Hey, were you Rollies again?
Yeah. Because there was lots of banter in that whole
I got a doozy.
Wear a t-shirt that says "Ask about my pussy." It's like, what is? How does that?
Yep.
Well, that's a 15. That's all right.
I got a 5.
All right. Let's see here. Ben.
Tim.
What's the D?
Ha! You read my mind.
The fuck is the D?
This is my point. That was exactly the doozy I wanted to say. I know. I know.
What the fuck is the D? Because they seem to say it like we knew, and I'm sitting there like
they don't know. I think maybe they think they know, but I think I know.
It has something to do with Imahara Joe?
Nope.
I don't know. Like, it came up, and I'm just like, I listened back to it.
You know too. Okay, so D is.
Are we talking about the Cerberus Assembly right now?
Nope.
Okay.
D is the person. Is the person of interest who is masked with a big metal mask thing, salvager, scavenges from places, does the rounds in the Rumadon Desert, and they're always automaton bits and pieces, weaponry, stuff like that have helped Imahara Joe and his crew build crawlers and other arcane meshing science and arcana together to create different things. You know who D is. Who's loose in the world and would be able to scavenge the ruins of, say, Aor for bits and pieces and then sell them on the market?
Dagon?
Nope. Who did they meet in the ruins?
Devaxian?
Hey, Charlie. Devaxian. Starts with a D. Devaxian.
Devaxian? Devaxian.
Devaxian.
Devaxian, right?
Yep. Yep. Has to be. That's why he's masked. And that's why he's wearing leather boots and is wearing a big cloak and
The
don't
D
get
is
too
Devaxian?
close. Don't come too close. I'm a robot. Yeah, man. Has to be. Has to be.
It's gotta be.
He's scavenging the ruins of Aor.
Gotta be.
Then traveling around selling them.
And from what I understand, I wouldn't say hyper intelligent, but a very intelligent Aorian automaton.
And it makes sense if you sort of game it out. How do you let robots, automatons, come back into the world? You don't build them. You send them out everywhere. And then you send them out bits and pieces and then let them be recreated. And let them, like, look at FCG, right? Probably from Aor. Probably it sounds like one of those assassin bots. I read a
derivative of it.
I read a great line on because basically they were like the assassin bots were helpers. They were just helpers. Oh, we're gonna go out and help. We're domestic help. We're helping you in the house. And then there's a trigger from Star Wars, Order 66, when all the clones turned and killed everybody. Order 66.
Nice moves.
Whoever came up with that, mwah, beautiful. That wasn't me, by the way.
The D. I mean, the way they were talking about it, I felt like I missed something, which makes a lot of sense with me because I walk and I get distracted easily, especially in the second half. And then I hear this and I'm just like, fuck, I missed something again.
This was not anything that they...
Do you think they know? Do you think they're aware?
I don't know. I don't think so.
At the moment they're talking about the D, they're like Imahara Joe's D, like
yeah. No, because Imahara Joe he said that he would on several occasions D showed up and they bought Imahara Joe bought stuff from them.
Okay, so that's the part that I missed, I guess. Okay.
Right. He was just wandering around in the desert selling bits and pieces, but who knows if he's actually wandering around in the desert.
He wears a mask. That's huge.
Yeah, huge. Big metal mask. I mean, and I think Laura asked, can I see the eyes? And I think that Laura had an inkling that it may be. And that's why she asked if can Imogen see the eyes? And Matt was like, you can't get close enough because they don't let Imahara Joe come close. They're like, no further. Stay there. Here is what I've got. There was I noticed that on the second watch, my second watch through. I was like, oh, there we go. There's more confirmation. Not confirmation, but here's another clue.
Yeah, that makes some sense. Makes some sense. We're already coming up in 50 minutes, bud. Let's bang a few out, eh?
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. So I'll do a yes end on that. What was the thing? Oh yeah, about Dancer. I have a quick question for you. They went into the Dancer meet hard. Like they went in there.
It was aggressive.
Aggressive. And it turns out the Dancer was a fucking victim, right? Like, am I alone on that? She was not a bad person. She was a fucking victim who probably came close to loving this little bot and was blindsided by it and almost barely got away with her life. All of her teammates were all killed and destroyed, all of that stuff. And Bell's Hells do not feel even the slightest bit of remorse for her, right? Like, how fucked is that? I was sitting there watching it and I'm going, whoa, you guys all need to do a hard 180 on this because you're kind of in the wrong at this point.
could have used to do a little bit more RP in that situation.
Yeah.
Other than video
Yeah.
gaming, I think. Because like, remember the last time that you found that fucking box of kittens and you named them Fresh Cut Grass, Oatmeal, Thunderstorm, and Pussy,
Yep.
and then you didn't fall in love with them?
Mm-hmm.
And then one of them goes out and kills everybody?
Yeah.
You remember
Yeah.
the last time that happened to you? I had a hard time talking to that cat, you know?
Yep. That's what I'm
And
talking
they're just
about,
coming
man. Like,
in. But the thing is, FCG doesn't really know.
right.
So-
which brings up another interesting point that I've got. How much of this do you think Sam knows? Because I'm constantly
Let's talk about it. It's
watching.
right here.
I'm constantly watching his face in this, and he's a good actor.
It's Sam,
They're
you
all
know?
good actors, but I think there are multiple moments, especially in when Imahar Joe opens up his chest. Sam is like, what do I see? And those eyes can't lie that much. I didn't see
that part.
There is I don't think he knows that
I wasn't
much.
watching when I heard that
I think
part,
a
I should
lot
say.
of this is stuff he doesn't know about himself, and I think that's intentional. I think we talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago. A lot of it is intentional. He doesn't really want to know some of this stuff. It was built that way. He designed. He created this character that way. So
yeah. I mean, yeah, kind of like Molly Mock, for example. It's like,
exactly.
here's two sentences. Have fun, you know.
Yep.
Whereas, Sam's maybe
This
here's
character
two
isn't-
paragraphs. What
Right.
and just
And
don't
then-
tell me anything.
I think a lot of it, though, also is that Matt and him had to have those long conversations because this is a little bit more than just a Molly Mock blood hunter. This is more. This has got some stuff like
Deep ties.
We're going to play this thing called stress points, Sam, and stress points are going to work like this. And so when you get a lot of stress points, bad things are going to happen. So he had to be part of that conversation. I had another thing. Go.
I'm a little bit, I'm going to say worried that everything's tied together. We've got the apogee solstice. We've got the moons. We've got the, Ruidus Born. We've got Aor. We've got what's that city from the Calamity that was the one that they were in? What's the name of it?
Avalon?
Avalier. Like, I'm a little worried that they're all just fucking tied together. Instead of having, like Ford had this thing, which was never concluded, right? And then they have this one and this one and this one. They have like all kinds of different things.
Oh,
I'm a little worried that everything is too tied together in this.
Yeah. I don't think you're wrong at all. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think that Matt wants to wrap a lot of this stuff up with a nice, neat little bow and go,
right.
Here's my gift for
Just
you guys.
one of them.
Yeah.
Just one bow.
Yeah.
Like this whole
Or
Aor
bows-
thing, the Avalier,
bow.
everything, also the moon.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sure. I think so. I think that he definitely does want that. I think there's something very cathartic about building this giant big spider web and it all coming back to the very center.
Just suck it up with a vacuum.
Poor spiders.
Oh, poor guys.
Bad rep.
I always try not to do that, but I don't want to see that spider web.
Do you want to do one more rolly?
Yeah, let's get another rolly out there.
I got a couple of things to say.
I had a couple other little things. I got a
10.
big one, but I'm going to wait for another time. 19.
Okay, after that one win, you're just it's all you.
I mean, it's got to turn around at some point.
Does it?
Not too much. But I've got one big one, but
Go, throw the big one out. Come on.
No. That's like a 20-minute conversation. I'm going to save that for another time.
Okay.
And it's kind of an evergreen as well, so I can save it.
Okay.
I would like to talk about Orm's new feat. I fucking love it. I'm such a big fan of this thing.
As soon as he used it, I literally, in my brain, because I don't take notes the first time I watch, in my brain I was like, that's his new keen mind. And
right.
Then 20 minutes later, Laura or Marisha, one of them said.
It was Marisha, yeah.
Marisha's like, oh, this is your new keen mind. I know everything.
This is the new, what time is it, DM?
What time is it? Right. And I was like, yes, you recognize it too. Because Liam latches onto that. No, I read about Know Your Enemy. It's quite cool. It's quite a neat feature by fighters.
I've never heard of it, which is why I'm asking you. Like,
super situational. So you have to study the opponent for a minute.
Right. So you have to be there for 60 seconds, or do you have to study them for a minute?
You have to. I don't think the wording says study. I think the wording is like you have to be paying attention to them for 1 minute.
Right.
You have to learn
so it can't
about
just be
them
somebody
for a
in the
full
room.
minute.
Otherwise, you'd know everybody's AC after 60 seconds, right?
Well, you don't know their AC.
You know how
their
it is
hit
relative
points.
to yours.
You know what it is relative to your own.
Right.
That's
and
right.
HP are those the only two that you can get?
That's it. AC and HP.
I love it.
It's
I
very
love
cool.
it. It's just
very
vague
cool.
enough to be super interesting.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. That's the thing. It's wonderful in RP, which can become applicable to combat situations. So
totally. I mean, it's something that he would bring up and be like, guys, I don't think we should fight this one.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
They don't know shit.
This is going to be really tough. Or that one's a glass cannon. Like if we're lucky, we take it out instantly.
Yeah.
So, those are important things to know.
Yeah. I wonder how you would RP that, because it's not going to be like, hey, that person's AC is lower than mine. That's not RP, and that's not Liam. Liam would never say something like that.
No, he would say like, be very much
if
like,
we go in fast and hard, we can take this person out.
Absolutely.
And then everybody be like, they would hear, because he knows this information, but it'd be fun RP to hear them say like,
sure.
How do you, I don't know, man. How do you know this? He's like, I know. Just trust me. I know.
I've studied.
Yeah, I've seen people like this person before. Let's go. I love it.
It's a very cool feat.
It's just so interesting.
Not a feat.
It's not a feat.
No, it's an ability.
Oh shit!
It's a level 7 fighter thing that fighter.
Oh no shit! It just comes with fighters at that level.
Yep.
Fucking hell! I figured it was a feat.
Well, it's like no. It's
like Keen Mind.
No, it's nowhere near good enough to be a feat. It's not strong enough. It's not powerful enough to be a feat. They don't get feats at level 7 too. So like they only get feats at 4 and 8. 4, 8, 12, 16.
I like that you said that actually, because I had a little monologue out there when I was listening to that. Like it's not nearly powerful to be a feat. Because you can choose stat points or you can choose a feat, right?
Yep. You get 2 points or a feat.
Right. Okay. So
optional too. Optional. I asked my DM if I could do. I took a couple of feats in our campaign, and I asked him if I could do that, and he was like, "Depends which ones." And I told him, and he's like, "Yeah, no problem." Because some of the feats are OP. They become not. Sentinel is the perfect example. If Matt had his druthers, he probably would never have let Marisha and Ashley take Sentinel. It's a little too powerful. Campaign 2 here.
Yeah. I wonder if it's rules as written. Maybe you do have an answer for that, for the 2 people having Sentinel, which they did.
That is an
or
actual
if that's
rule.
just how he dumbed it down so it wasn't OP.
That is a rule.
Because it breaks the game, right?
It might be errata. It might have come in later. I don't know, but it is in the thing.
Okay.
If Sentinel cannot, it's addressed. Yeah. Can't bounce Sentinel off people.
But similar to this, I remember at some point it was either Sam or Matt talking about the Magnificent Mansion, and I think you and I talked about it too. How for the longest time, or for like the history of fucking D&D, it's been kind of like just a shitty spell that nobody takes. Yeah. Right. But then when you watch the first campaign and the second campaign, it's one of the coolest fucking spells that brings up the best RP and the best situations. Of all of the storytelling available, right? But they are very RP heavy, and the battle's just kind of like a fun little thing on the side. I mean, let's face it, these guys are heavy. They got strong stories, and they got strong, well, except for this campaign, strong arcs, individual arcs. And that spell was huge. Without getting too deep into it, it's not okay. So it's not a feat. It's an ability for a fighter. I feel like it's a really powerful thing, just like I feel like the mansion is a really powerful thing. But maybe that's just because I'm an idiot and I don't know how the game really goes.
Well, no, you're not wrong. It's because it does open up. Say like at some point if they have to fight Ratanish, for example. Orym is going to have a little bit more insight into how that fight may go. So it's not game changing, but it's definitely game manipulating slightly. But it's an influence. It's influencing. There
Put
we
all
go.
those words into one. There's a new word out there.
But so it's not. It doesn't break. It just enhances or alters slightly.
Because it's not powerful enough,
No.
even though I
No.
love it. And I love
Yeah, it
the way
doesn't
that
give you a
Matt's
number.
doing it.
Doesn't give you a number. Doesn't give you anything. It's just relative to your own.
Right. And he's like, it's a big guy, but he's not wearing his armor. I like
Right.
that because if he's wearing his armor, he has to do it again.
Oh, guaranteed that Minotaur might be wearing plate mail. Can you imagine a Minotaur wearing plate mail wielding a battle axe?
Try to get through that shit.
Get out.
Get out of my life. Yeah. Get out of my office. It's not going to work.
Nope. Nope. That's an AC. That's an AC of like 18, 19, something like that. And a
At least.
boatload.
Oh, I guess
boatload
he's
of hit
big,
points.
so that kind of lowers it down.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
Well, even
But
big things where you can hit big things, like you can hit a dragon. It's easy to hit a dragon. Good luck getting through those scales.
Right. Yeah. Because
That's why dragons AC is so
armor
high.
class. Yeah. Yeah. Same with the hit points. The one of them, he was like, and HP, and he was like, way above yours.
Way above.
He didn't even like put it in a weird way. He's just like, just fucking dude.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
I love that feature. I guess it's not. It's not a feature because that's short for feat.
Mm-hmm.
I love that ability.
Ability.
Okay.
That's right.
Cool.
Fighter ability. I have a little yes and for that one. It's kind of another random thought that I had during.
Might
this
want to
episode.
call it after this. We're already over an hour, so let's
Sure,
let's go ahead and call it after this.
They're at about 2 hours 49 minutes. So this is after the break.
I love the timestamps.
When Orem is talking about or somebody Laudna says, well, if you broke the capture bead, the little bead of Odalic's resilient sphere adjacent, that he tried to use it, failed, and Ashen's like, fuck you, sometimes I just want to fucking break things. And then Orem and him have that dialogue. It's like, oh, I know she's talking about me. I broke something. He's like, oh, well, I just thought I broke everything. And then FCG on the side, I'm broken inside.
It was so quiet.
It was so quiet. And everybody laughs and everyone's like, and Sam, even Matt's like, oh, like that little moment, that whole like, oh man.
Was that the first one?
It was second maybe.
I think he did 3. He did 2 right in a row, and then he did another one kind of later. But I don't remember which one was which.
Then he says, I'm a killer machine.
Yeah, and maybe that was the third. I don't remember.
Whatever. There's a bunch of them, but they're in very close proximity to each other. So everybody's laughing about it. But I just sort of was watching Sam, and I'm looking at this, and a random thought struck my head, crossed my brain. If Sam plays this through with FCG, we might see FCG get turned off permanently. Sam, I said this a couple of weeks ago with Scanlan leaving and then Tyrion coming in, with Not leaving and Veth coming in. I think we're going to see another one. I think Sam is going to turn FCG off, kill FCG off. Because I don't think this can be rectified. I don't think there is a way to remove this assassin bot
without either disabling him completely, or him somehow conquering it. And being able to tame it.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that. Okay,
he's an automaton. If he's programmed that way, that's the end of the story, isn't it?
Here's a better way that I would put this.
I think you're right, though. I'm with you on this.
Sam is willing to play this out to its finale, which is FCG gone, no more FCG, and he rolls up a new character. I think Sam is willing to do that, and I don't think a lot of the other players are. I don't think most players.
I think Liam is.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're all aware of it, but I don't think they want to. It would devastate Laura to lose Imogen. Fern, Ashley would not be happy to lose Fern. Taliesin, I think, would be okay with it because he's already gone through it.
Yeah, I would think so.
Travis is on his third?
Oh wait, did you say just because Taliesin lost people in the past? That's kind of brutal, dude.
Well,
I think his character might be a little bit kind of, expendable because of his attachment in the past. And maybe his poor playing of Molly Mock in the past. Sorry, but it's true. But yeah, if we lost Caduceus in campaign 2, man, that would be rough.
Yeah.
You know what a character that was.
I loved one of the best.
Losing Molly Mock, it didn't hurt me that bad.
I know. I felt we've talked about this before.
And losing Ashton right now, I mean, he's a brawler. If he dies in a fight, he's won. Yep. Just like Grog, if he dies in a fight, especially with the dragon, that was what he said was one of his dreams or his clan's dreams or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, sure, not a problem. Yep. But anybody else, other than the three we mentioned.
Somebody posted that Ashton is literally a punk rock, and I was like, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And
he's literally a punk rock.
What is more punk rock than going out in a blaze of glory, right?
Absolutely.
It's just Hey buddy, it was good talking to you. Let's call this.
All right. I'm thinking about Chetney now actually though. I think
Travis
he's
has already
into
lost
Chetney.
Bertrand, right?
Yeah,
Travis
but I think that was written,
so,
you know?
Yeah, probably.
We're both pretty sure that was written.
The writers come up with good ideas sometimes on this show.
Oh, it turns out, yeah. We have to get in touch with Brian WF for that. Huh. Yeah, I mean, you know, we're kind of due for a tragedy here. I mean,
I agree.
We're getting up there. And 32. Now with this new information, I'm right there with you. I don't, you know me, I don't like to predict, but I'm looking at FCG like he's not going to be able to live with this.
No, I don't think it's going to be planned, but I think that if it happens, it just happens, and Sam will be okay with it. Sam is willing to play this out. Like FCG is, I get the feeling that FCG is starting to realize that it is not long for this world. Like I
think it's a they, so I think he is okay. I think, if I remember correct, I'm not sure.
I'm good with whatever.
But you know what's going to break our hearts? He's going to say in his last moments, "Oh yeah, I was never really alive anyway."
Yeah.
And it's going to break everybody who's watching that show.
Sure.
It's going to break us all.
I'm sure Sam's already got those last words. I'm sure he's got them figured out. He's like, well, or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't need to. He's just like, yeah, no.
He could be that good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. All right. Yeah. I got to pee. I wouldn't mind getting another one of these.
It is still torrential downpouring. I can hear the rain out there, so I might wait a bit to take the pup out, but she's been a pretty good girl back there.
Yeah, she is. Isn't she always? Look at a girl. She's on camera this time. Sometimes she's on the other couch and we can't see her.
Hi.
Is she hopping up? We getting a little Lacey time?
Lacey up. There you go.
Oh, look at the Lacey girl.
Lacey, say hi.
Hi, sweetie. She doesn't know what a camera is.
Nope. Ow.
Ooh, careful.
That hurt a little bit.
All right, sweet.
Okay, buddy. It was good chatting with you, man. I'm glad we're back at this again. Let's call it there.
Yeah, let's call it there. I've got a few, and usually what happens is they get answered with the subsequent episodes. I kind of hope that these two don't.
Okay.
Because I want to talk about these couple of things here.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
We'll find out. We'll find out soon. All right, bud. Have a good night. I'm out.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Hey, y'all, get in touch. Join the conversation. Best way to do is comments right here.
A lot of times, so
like we still have never checked our fucking email. Just get if you want to get in touch, comments right there, and I'm gonna leave it at that because I really got to pee.
Okay. Cool.
And if nothing else, then what do I usually say? Every time we take a week off, I forget. Don't forget to love each other. There we go. And is it finally Friday? Peace, y'all. We'll see you next time.
Peace.